Think meditation is hard? Do me a favor. Take a slow, deep breath in, and now breathe out. Congratulations. You just meditated. Hi, I'm Krystal Jakosky, and this is Breathe In, Breathe Out, a weekly mindfulness and meditation podcast for anyone ready to own their own shit and find a little peace while doing it. Welcome back to the next installment of Meditation on the Oracle. Just a brief overview, a brief reminder. I felt very inspired to dive into this. As a meditation, it is an opportunity to focus our minds on the moment and tune out the world, tune into right here, right now. The Oracle, compared to the tarot, is much broader. It's the big brushstrokes in a painting. The tarot is more of the fine details that are there. So with the Oracle, you get to apply it how it works for you and fill in the blanks. So I hope you enjoy this installment of Meditation on the Oracle as much as I enjoyed doing it. Welcome back to Breathe In, Breathe Out. I'm Krystal Jakosky, your host, and thanks for joining us again. I'm excited to do the next reading on the meditation of the Oracle. This has been a great experience for me because every time I sit down and pull cards, I sit in meditation for a moment. I tune in with my guides, and I ask if I can please tune in for the energy and the need of what the listeners of Breathe In, Breathe Out need to hear. And then I pick the cards. And when I pick the cards, my hand passes over the cards. And when there's a cold, like when it gets as cold as it can possibly be, I know that that's the card that I should pull. Everything else feels normal and warm, but the cold is the one that needs to be brought forth at that time. And when I'm done picking all three of the cards, I haven't looked at them. I don't know what they say. I step back and I check in again and I ask, are these the right cards? And are these the right order for us to be hearing the message today? Today, I almost fell over when I asked that question because I always do it as a muscle testing kind of thing. And I tell you that I literally, like, it pushed me backwards. This is where we need to be. This is what we need to be doing. So I'm excited for the cards. I'm excited for what we're going to talk about today. I have not read them. I have pulled them, but I have not read them. So I am doing, I did pull from the Doreen Virtue Angel Therapy Oracle cards this time. And I love this deck. It's very much kind of a beginner, easy, gentle deck. It is one of the first decks that I ever got. And it has archangels in it. And it's just, it really had to come home with me the day that I found it. And since then, this has been one that I often return to because it just feels so right. So Doreen, I thank you for choosing to put together this deck, for putting a part of you into the beauty that is these oracle cards. So moving forward, if you recall, we were in like self-reflection, self-discovery as the final card of our last reading 3 weeks ago. The first one that I pulled for today happens to be listen to your intuitive feelings. And it says your body is receiving accurate messages from the divine. I love that because, yeah, I think anytime we have a gut sense, or sometimes we hear voices, sometimes we get a little nudge or a hit, whatever you want to call it, that is our intuition speaking up and saying, hey, I'm your higher guide here, and I'm telling you that this is the information you need. And I think sometimes we ignore it and push it off and don't listen. And if we look back, we might find that we regret not listening. And And the times that we do listen, things turn out so much better. So let's read about the listening to our intuitive feelings. And this is, remember, where we have been. This has been the last week or so of our lives. Your angels want you to know that you're always receiving divine messages, even when you're not noticing them. So my question for you is, over the last little while, have you noticed a bunch of messages? Like, if you look back at that moment, at those moments, have there been several times when you've had a nudge? Most of these messages come through your physical and emotional senses, as your body is extremely sensitive to subtle energies. Sometimes you may not understand your feelings, yet they always have accurate underlying wisdom. You've received this card because you've asked a question that your body has already answered through your emotional and physical feelings. You're urged to trust your feelings and act upon them without delay. Ask the angels to protect and guide you, which they do through your intuitive sensations. As you give psychic readings or healings to others, know that it's impossible to be blocked from receiving angelic guidance. You're always feeling and thinking, and those two are primary ways in which the angels give you messages for your clients. Tell your clients what you're feeling and thinking during your sessions, as these messages are meant to be shared. Action steps. Notice any tension in your body, which is a signal that your muscles are reacting to the energies of your or other people's thoughts and emotions. Close your eyes and imagine having a conversation with a tense muscle group in your body. Ask your muscles, why are you tense? Listen for the answer, which will come to you as a thought, feeling, or even words or visions. Your body will tell you how it's reacting to your job, relationships, friends, and other life areas. Trust your body's truth and wisdom. Now, this is a lesson that I learned early on. And it wasn't when I had clients, it was when I had people in front of me. This reading says, tell your clients what you're feeling and thinking. I would like to extend that a little bit. Personally, I think that it's the people around us. We need to express what we're thinking and feeling. Sometimes I would get a hit. Well, not sometimes. A lot of the time I get these hits. I'll get this thought of, oh, they're going through a challenging time, or they're going through this or that. I would have a gut knowledge of something. And in the early days, I would just blurt that out. And there were quite a few times that people were not very appreciative of whatever it was that I was sharing with them in that moment. And so I added a new thing to my expectation of myself, and it was this. Whenever I get instruction, whenever I get a new bit of information and it comes in through my emotions or my mind like a thought, or I can hear it, I always stop and I ask myself, is this information meant for me, or is it meant for the other person? As in, should I share this information or not? Now, sometimes the answer was no. Sometimes the answer was, Krystal, you just needed this information so that you could deal with this interaction in a more compassionate way, or in a different way. Maybe it's a way to protect yourself, knowing this new tidbit of information. The bottom line was that I needed to ask. So I highly encourage you, if you get a hit and you're like, I wonder if that's that, ask yourself, is this meant for me? Should I be sharing it with the person in front of me? And if the answer is no, then don't. And if the answer is yes, then I always ask, hey, I had a thought, and I'm wondering if you would be open to what it is that I have to share. Sometimes people say no, and I don't worry about it. And then they'll come around in the conversation and say, so what was it that you were wanting to talk about? And then I can say, well, what about this? And it can change things. But you have to first off ask if they're meant to hear it. Ask if it's meant for them. Then ask them if they're willing and open to hear whatever you have to say before you just blurt it out. So we've been having intuitive hits. That is where we have been. We are moving into a space where we need to shield ourselves. The card is this beautiful angel with a long spear in one hand and a shield with what could be a bear or a bison on it. Light around his head, stars above it, kind of like the stars around the eagle's head. Very definitely a warrior. And the words underneath it say, protect yourself from harsh or fear-based energies by envisioning a cocoon of healing light surrounding you. So right now, we are in a space where we need to shield ourselves. So let's read what it has to say. The angels brought this card to you because of your heightened sensitivity to energies. This sensitivity means that you may inadvertently absorb other people's energies, which may make you feel tired, unfocused, or upset. Just as you wouldn't walk outdoors in a rainstorm without an umbrella, it is important to use an energy umbrella in the face of any emotional downpour. If you feel negative energy or people are arguing, competing, or using frightening words, it is vital for you to shield yourself. This means imagining that a bubble of protective light surrounds your entire body. You can also ask Archangel Michael to guard you from lower energies, and you can even borrow his shield as a protective buffer. The action steps on this one are to visualize yourself surrounded by one or more of the following colors. You can layer colors for multiple purposes, such as a white light next to you for general protection, followed by a second layer of green light for healing, and covered by a third layer of purple light for spiritual protection. So the colors that they list are blue for increased communication and clarity, green for healing and protection of health, pink for lightheartedness and romance, purple for spiritual protection, shielding from psychic attacks, and white for general protection. It also says that the light shield lasts for about 12 hours, less time in harsh circumstances, so re-invoke them often. Now, I like to visualize this shield all the way around me like a shell, kind of like an eggshell, but this shield expands out with my arms as I stretch out or above my head, goes all the way down to my feet. It's right against my body, almost like a spacesuit, but I think of it as an egg because it gives me a little bit more space. It gives me a little more personal space with which I can gather in the positive, nurturing energies and repel the other energies. This reading gives you specific colors and different meanings behind those colors. I encourage you to play with it. Colors can mean different things. Sometimes I think of yellow as just this bright, happy, sunshiny joy. And sometimes I think of it more as protection, literal courage and protection. So what colors work for you? What do the colors mean to you? What colors feel best? My husband and I used to, we used to go grocery shopping together. And it was an every Sunday thing that we did with my mom. And we would go and we would both be feeling great in the beginning. But by the time we got home, we would do Costco, we would have lunch. We would go pick up my mom. We would go through Costco and then we would have lunch. And then we would go home. And by the time we got home, we were both just like, oh my gosh, I can barely put the groceries away. I'm so exhausted. So we would put the cold stuff away and then just go take a nap. Well, then we started bubbling up and we called it our couple bubble. And we would just hug each other for a moment, hold each other for a moment. And I would ask him what color he felt. And he would give me a color. And then he would ask me what color I felt, and I would give him a color. And then we would add white on top of whatever, because I visualize white as a beautiful color that brings in anything additional that we need to support us and nurture us. So we started doing this couple bubble every time we went shopping, and it would be before we even left the house.
And I'll tell you that we would get home and we would be nowhere near as exhausted, nowhere near as tired or emotional or upset or frustrated. So it was absolutely beautiful and fantastic. So I can tell you without a doubt that this bubble works, and I use it with my clients frequently. Another part that I want to bring out with this shield yourself, in reading about it, it talked about how sometimes we take on other people's energies. Now, I'm an emotional intuitive and I can feel other people's emotions. I didn't know this for a very, very long time. And it was probably 15 years ago. I was working backstage on a theater production. And I went in and I was feeling great, bouncing around, singing songs to myself, in the groove. And all of a sudden I had this urge to sob. And I thought, well, that's weird because I'm in a really good mood, but okay, I want to cry. And then this cute little teenager came in the door and I looked at her and I said, hey, how you doing? She walked into the bathroom. She started crying, like heaving, sobbing in the bathroom. And my urge to sob lifted. And at that moment, that was the moment that I was like, oh, crap. Holy shit. I knew that was coming. And so from then on, I paid attention to it. And I could recognize that there were lots of times where I would take on other people's emotions. So I want to give you another tool, another tip, another trick. Ask yourself, is this mine or is it someone else's? The next time that you're doing great and then all of a sudden you're just a little bit irritable, a little bit cranky, stop, close your eyes, and ask yourself, is this mine? And you will know whether or not that emotion is yours. And if that emotion is not yours, then you have the power. Your spirit guides, your beings are right there with you. You have the power to say to them, this is not mine, remove it from me. It will lift. It will go away, and you will feel so much better. You do not need to carry that of other people. You have enough to deal with. So give yourself a bubble. And then if the bubble doesn't work, ask, is this mine? And if it's not yours, then get rid of that crap because you don't need it. None of us need it. We have enough to deal with without it. So, okay, I'm going to get off my soapbox and move on to the next card, which is parents. And the bottom of the card says, the divine truth is that your parents eternally love you to the best of their ability. The angels are helping you heal from any pain associated with your mother or father. This is where we're moving into. Right now, we are shielding ourselves. Right now, we are protecting and taking care of ourselves. We are going to be moving into a space of healing from challenges we've had with our parents. So let's read about that. You drew this card because the answer to your question involves emotions connected to your mother or father. For example, if you're having difficulty receiving loving kindness from others, the underlying issue could stem from unhealed emotions you have towards your mother. That's because receptivity is a feminine energy represented by our mothers. If you feel afraid to receive love or feel guilty about asking for your needs to be met, then call upon the angels to heal and help. With your father, the primary spiritual response is about male energy and developing confidence in your abilities to go out into the world and make a positive difference. If your self-confidence is wavering, ask the angels to help you mend your emotional connections with your dad. This card is also a signal that your parents do love you, even if the way they showed it wasn't fulfilling for you. If your mother or father is in heaven, then they send this card to you as a way of saying, I love you. Action steps. The angels will intervene in any painful emotion associated with your parents if you'll ask. Go to a quiet and private place and say this request, either silently or aloud. Guardian angels of myself and of my mother and father, I call upon you now. I ask for your healing blessings with my internal and external relationship with my parents. I'm willing to release emotional toxins associated with my childhood, adolescence, and adulthood. I ask the angels to help me trade any and all pain for peace right now. We're moving into a space of healing those energies that have caused pain in the past. Now, I have a disclaimer right here, right now. This card, this reading, speaks specifically to mother and father, the masculine and feminine. And I want to tell you that I personally believe that someone who is outwardly feminine can be very much a masculine energy presence, and vice versa. It is less so about the sexual gender and representation and more about the energy with which we feel. I think that men can be very, very loving, tender, nurturing, and I think women can be very strong, fierce, and growing. I think it's more about, do you have a more outward or inward expression? And it shifts throughout our lives. Parents are parents. And I want to adjust that to say the adult influence in your life, the adult influence that you look to as a leader, a nurturer, a supporter. This card is talking about healing those energies. And a lot of us have challenges and upsets with those parental units, those adult units who led us through our lives. This card is coming up right now so that we can recognize some of those challenges within ourselves and say, you know what? I feel a little bit weak and I feel like I am bowing to other people and I don't want to be that anymore. So instead of being weak and submissive, I would like to find some strength. This card is about healing that, changing that, and moving it forward. Beautiful, beautiful cards. This was, I went really deep on this reading, so I hope you guys are okay. And if you need to go back and listen to this a couple of times, absolutely go back and listen to it, because it's a beautiful reading, and I gave you a lot of information of my personal experience as well. So we've been in a space where we've been getting intuitive hits and knowledge. We are moving into a place where we need to shield ourselves, protect ourselves, bubble up. And if this isn't yours, please remove it, get rid of it. And then we're moving into healing of those child wounds, those challenges that we learned as children that no longer serve us as adults. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening. Thank you for joining me. I pray you take some time and give yourself some love and support, acknowledging where you're at and where you're going. Congratulate yourself for how far you've come and the gift of who you are. I look forward to having you back here next week on Breathe In, Breathe Out. I hope this moment of self-care and healing brought you some hope and peace. I'm Krystal Jakosky on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube, and I hope you check us out and follow along for more content coming soon. I look forward to being with you again here on Breathe In, Breathe Out. Until next time, take care.